vulnerability, accountability, blame, burden, debt, culpability, obligation, exposure, responsibility, family, trust, guilt, shame, duty, promise, risk, fault, acknowledgement, rejection, failure, confession, realization, understanding, admission, denial, faith, helplessness, hopefulness, happiness. So many words and more that easily explain my fear. However, I suppose in the end, the best word is mirror. Like it or not, the time always comes when we must all take that long, arduous march toward the one thing we fear above all. That slow, dragging, protracted march that feels like thousands of dirty needles filled with all the grime and muck of a past so secret. We will do everything and anything in our power not to face it. It is a past that no matter how far down the void of blackness we push it, it will one day rise and break free. It is a past that sooner or later brings us to that face-to-face confrontation with ourselves. We will all have our time in the mirror. No one escapes the looking glass. At some point, you will be forced to reconcile your life in the silence of your head, be it while you are upright or on your deathbed. You know, you've always known, the time is coming. Everything you have done and everything you have chosen not to do will be put on trial. We will all be stripped down to our naked selves with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. And what you see looking back at you is simply everything you brought with you. The good, the bad, the ugly. There you go. I said it. Are you happy now? Welcome to the podcast. This is for the brothers. A look into the book, my upcoming book, Helplessness, where we're talking about different aspects of the book, different feelings of the book. As most of you know, all of this originated once we found out that me and my brother Glynn here, our sisters had been molested by our stepfather. And speaking of my brother Glynn, this is my brother Catran-Whitney. And this is the oldest of the eight of us kids. There are three of us here today. And this is my sister, Louise, Whitney Tillery. And this will be the first time that multiple of us, more than two, actually sit down and talk about this. Now, you and I talked about this when I came out to your place in Santa Clarita. And unfortunately, I didn't hit record.
That's right.
But I'm certain that I did, because we went over, okay, retest.
I'm certain that I did.
And because
That's because you asked me to redo it.
Yeah, and that was a revelation in a number of ways for both of us. We were like, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. What? And so some of that stuff may come up today. But this will be the first time that my brother Glynn will actually be in a conversation, to my knowledge,
right,
one of our sisters about this. And as I've said all along, the important thing about this healing to take place, especially with brothers and sisters, when molestation happens in the family, you go your separate ways, not only individually, but you can go your separate ways from a gender standpoint. At some point, you have to have the conversation, and it's a scary conversation. It's a conversation no one wants to have, but it's a conversation that must be had. And so we're going to talk about this and just let it flow. At the end, I will share a little bit of information that just came to me, and we'll see how that plays out, that you may find interesting. So,
oh my gosh.
It isn't anything bad. It isn't anything bad. Okay. No. Because, hey, it's not a new revelation. No.
Right.
No.
Right.
So, just to kind of let you all know, all of this started for us when my brother Glynn and I, we were molested by our babysitter in 1966. That went on for about 6 months. But then in 1971, our stepfather started molesting our oldest sister. And from what I understand from one of my other sisters, that's when one of my other sisters was also being the target. And I don't know about you and your twin, because she's the youngest. Well, she's the second to the youngest. Louise is a twin. She's the third girl. And let me just say this up front, which I just said off camera. I could not be here today if it wasn't for Louise. Louise has been the encouragement. She has been the rock, constantly go. Every one of my sisters, 3 of them, have been encouraging, and my older brother, but I doubt very, very seriously that not only could I have completed this manuscript, but that I even would have gone forward with the podcast. And I just want to say thanks. So
I'm going to need some tissue before it's over.
So 1971, 53rd, what was going on with you?
Can I first just say this in response to that?
Sure.
Being encouraging, especially knowing what you were going through, writing this, knowing where you had to go to write this, how could you not encourage you?
Right.
Because you, and he would tell me how dark it got. A lot. And just how hard it was for him to come back out of it, and just how you would just, it was like character acting, right? You get into it, and then it's really hard to get out of it.
Yes.
And
I was
so,
a method actor.
Exactly. Yeah,
for the entire 6+ years of writing that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were. And
unfortunately, it wasn't acting.
Right. Yeah. And having been there.
Yeah.
I could completely relate to what you were saying. And I know that you have to have someone, and you had all of us, to say to you, keep going. You're doing great.
Yes.
You're doing great. And when you finally wrapped it up, it was like, big round of applause on our family thread. But so I think you're too kind in saying that, but that was the easy part for me. So to 53rd Street.
That's the beginning.
Okay. So 53rd Street, how old was I? I was 5 years old. So it started for, at least for Luana and I, at 5 years old. And this is the first time I remember. And I remember that little bedroom that the three little ones slept in, had that slanted ceiling.
Right.
Yes.
And
upstairs.
we drew all over the walls with crayons, and it was just a disaster. But I remember Henry calling us into the bedroom one by one, and it was always like a one by one thing.
That bedroom or their bedroom, the one
That
downstairs?
bedroom. This is my first recollection.
Your bedroom.
My first
See, I
recollection.
thought it was.
That
big.
happened too.
Oh.
That happened too. But the very first recollection I have, 5 years old, called into the our bedroom. It was upstairs.
Upstairs.
Called into
all the
our
kids' bedroom upstairs, mom and him.
called into our bedroom, and that was the first time that he had molested me. And then he called Luana in, and did the same thing to her. If he called, our other sister in on the same day, I don't know, but Luana and I talked about it. And when he took us in there, I don't know if you want me to go into that, but that's when it first started.
Mm-hmm.
And changed me entirely, changed me completely, just like that.
Had we started singing yet?
Yeah, we were already singing. I think we were already singing.
we were singing
going
on 53rd Street.
Yeah, we were singing on 53rd Street.
Yeah.
Because
They
I
weren't
remember
on
going
the whole
to,
show yet.
Yeah, we weren't in the whole show.
Okay.
And Cookie was doing Steamroller.
Yeah.
And I forget what song Luana and I sang together, but we were singing then, and instinctively when something is really wrong. And what ended up happening was, even though that changed me at that moment, I was still who I was, right? But now it was like the way that I had to cope with it was I had to be very silly. That was my only way to deal with it. Was the goofy and silly.
And that's very interesting that even at 5 years old, you say, it changed me.
It did.
Yeah. And at 5 years old, you recognized how you had to come up with some sort of mechanism to protect yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just being silly.
Mm-hmm.
Because my memory of you is you were always silly.
Mm-hmm.
But it never occurred to me until you just said it that it was on purpose.
Yeah, it started to be on purpose. I was naturally that, but then when I was very stressed out, when I was really stressed out, I would turn to that. I would turn to being, to releasing the stress by laughing, playing, being silly, because man, did I go through some depression. Huge.
At 5 years old?
I wasn't in a lot of depression at 5. I'm just saying, as time progressed.
Yeah, and it continued
and it continued, and it got worse and worse. It was terrifyingly bad. It was terrifyingly bad. It was so bad. That was like my only way to deal with it, because I wasn't telling Miss Whitney.
That would be our mother. Yeah, that's another way to,
I wasn't telling her, wasn't telling anybody, because we did get the threats
from
Henry.
And the threats were,
if you tell, I'm going to hurt your mom and I'm going to hurt your brothers and your other sisters. So
Did
you can't tell.
know that
What
he
kind
had
of
all?
load is that?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really horrible.
Were you aware of what he had been doing to Tracy at that point?
No, I had no clue. I did not know anything. I didn't.
So
find
you
out
only
about
knew
Tracy
about
for a long
you.
time. Yeah,
And Lawanda, that was it.
that was it. I didn't find out about Cookie until later, and I didn't find out about Tracy until later. Now, by later, I mean by the time we were at what was it? Were we at Wellington?
Mm-hmm.
Wellington, because that's when he started coming into the room while all three of us were all.
Yeah.
And that's when I found out about Cookie. And now he had already been, molesting her for a while.
On 53rd, you're going through this at 5 years old. He and I were out after school sports, playing basketball, playing football, rehearsing, singing, doing family stuff. We are totally oblivious, totally unaware, which is the warning and the implicit threats and things are part of the predator's toolbox. Reaching there, I'm gonna grab this one this time. Okay, she's starting to push back on that. I need to reach in there and grab something else, and I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that kind of thing. Did you give any thought to what we were doing and thinking, how can they not know?
I was jealous. I was jealous because while this was happening to me inside, you guys were always outside playing. He always made sure that you guys were, somewhere else. And I was always jealous. Because sometimes I could hear you guys playing football in the middle of the street while I am being molested in the room. And I was jealous. I was like, wow, the boys get to be outside playing. Yeah. It was horrible.
Wow.
How? Okay. I may be getting ahead of myself on this one, and jump in whenever.
Right.
Cut across it. I gotta do. Something comes up or just whatever. This is to be free flowing. I had no idea. Obviously, you already know that we didn't know until 1977 what was going on, but the jealousy part. How did that affect your relationship with us? Because we are 11 years old, 12 years old. We're in junior high school, 71, 72. We're at elementary school.
We first got
Main Street. We went to Main Street.
We first got there the second half of like sixth grade, but it was mainly junior high school.
Yeah.
Your sixth grade was in Main Street.
Yes.
I was in junior high.
So how did that impact how you viewed us and treated us? Because we obviously had no clue, but you were jealous.
I was jealous, but it didn't impact the way I felt about you guys at the time. I was jealous from I'd rather be out playing than this, right? This is awful and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so I never, I was jealous that you guys were outside playing and having a good time, and my life inside was just like,
So it wasn't a kind of jealousy. I'm angry at them. I'm mad at them. Oh, I want to be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what kind of strength is that for a girl that age to compartmentalize that? It's not their problem. It's not their fault. They didn't do anything, even though they're out there living the life I want to live or doing what I want to do. And she doesn't, that never comes across to us. We never get the attitude from them or any of the girls like, you guys, ew. We never got that at all. And what kind of strength is that?
Probably because we were protecting you. Because Henry said, if we tell, they're going to get hurt. So as a 5-year-old, I can't compartmentalize that. All I know is just reaction, right?
Okay.
So I was just reacting to what he said and knowing that if I told, something was going to happen to my beloved brothers.
Right.
So we weren't jealous. I'll speak for me. I wasn't jealous, and being hateful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I was protecting you guys from being killed. It was like, he was going to kill you.
You only know about you and Luanda. What was her feeling about it? Let me go back on that because that would be conjecture on your part. But let me ask you this way. Were you guys talking about what was going on with you and him? No. But you both knew you were going through it.
We said very little to each other even about it. And I don't know why. I think we didn't want to talk about it. I can't remember if I thought the threat would be against her too. So just be quiet. I don't remember.
Up until this moment, and I don't know about you, you had told a story to me when I came out to your place about how he brought the three of you, and maybe Ray, and he had to leave the room or something. No, this is Cosette sharing a different story. I thought that was the moment, but this is before that. He'd have one of you sitting on the couch, have the other one come in, do what he was going to do.
Yes.
And then send the other one out.
Send the next one in. Yes.
And all this time, he's still with your oldest sisters.
Yeah. I had no idea.
On 53rd, I only know of our oldest sister telling our mom, begging her to step in and intervene. It sounds to me that, well, did you do that?
We all did it.
Oh, shit.
All at once. We went to Tracy.
Now this is on 12th?
53rd?
No, not on 53rd.
Okay,
No.
I'm talking 53rd.
Oh, you're talking 53rd. No.
Yeah, okay, because she had gone to mom.
Oh my God.
And mom said, essentially, there's nothing I could do.
Tracy told mom on 53rd?
Wow.
Yes. See, in the book, Louise knows, I tell the story, you and I were sleeping in the same room. Mm-hmm. We sit at the front of the house. Mm-hmm. And I'm just dozing off asleep, and I just see this shadow coming up. And I'm thinking I'm falling asleep. Mm-hmm. And this wig is coming up the stairs.
Right.
And that hall light, no matter how bright a bulb you put in that hall, it never seemed to get bright enough. It's like that thing just sucked the light out of whatever wattage you put in that light socket. And him going in there and then coming out and then hearing mom at the bottom of the stairs. Henry, it's time to come back downstairs now. Leave her alone.
Yep. She was still saying that on what street? On Wellington. She was doing that on Wellington. Because she would be calling him out of our room saying the exact same thing.
Okay. 12th Avenue. When it all came out for us boys. In the book I describe, there are like 4 earthquakes that hit. That really just set things. I know you've read that chapter because you've read the whole thing. Me describing that day, did I get it right? It just seemed like there was just so much, this energy going around the house. And I call it frenetic energy, like bees buzzing and doors slamming and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And next thing you know, boys are called downstairs. Mm-hmm. Because we're about to hear that we're going to sign this contract with Motown. As far as I'm concerned, this is it. Because we had been negotiating what they had called, with Suzanne DePass, the largest contract Motown had offered any group at that time. We were their replacement for the Jackson 5. And we get called down. And what I remember is you girls were already in the living room. The three of you were sitting together, and what struck me as incredibly odd, the three of you weren't saying a word.
Not a word.
It was just eerily weird because you were always laughing.
Right.
You three always were saying something. And the 4 earthquakes, if I have the order correctly, we come in, Tracy is pacing across this archway. Mm-hmm. She is mad. But that wasn't anything all that odd to me.
Right.
Especially because she's mad at Mom. Okay,
they would always go at it. Yeah.
But now I know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, what the genesis of a lot of that anger is. Now I know why it makes sense, because we were just so out of the loop. You probably knew why.
So much made sense.
Yeah. You girls knew why. We 4 boys.
Didn't mean we liked it.
No. But
yeah.
We couldn't. It was like, it just seemed like any sort of word would trigger Tracy. She was
Absolutely.
She was gone. So she's pacing the archway. You girls are sitting down. We come in. I think Ray may have already been on the couch. But I come in, I sit down. Glynn comes in towards the end. He may have come in after Philip. They come into the room. Mom and Henry sits down on that reclining chair. Mom goes to stand next to him, but in front of the front window. And the first earthquake hits. Henry has been molesting. She didn't mention you, to my recollection, or LaWanda. She mentioned the 2 oldest.
Right.
That's what I remember. And I come to find out later, you girls had decided it would just be the 2 of them and not mention you and LaWanda. Because if all of you were going to do it together, if I understand it correctly, but it just decided it was just going to be.
Well, I don't know who made that decision, but we did all go to Miss Whitney at one time, because when we went.
And you made that little bathroom off the kitchen?
Exactly. What was it, off the kitchen? I thought it was upstairs in the bathroom. I thought it was off the kitchen,
but you guys were like huddled in this.
We were huddled in this small room, and we all. Because when we went and told Tracy, that was when Tracy was like, "That's it, done. Yeah. We're gonna go, and we're gonna. This is stopping now, mm-hmm. Right?
The boys need to know. He's
got you guys, and and so we told Miss Whitney, and so she knew that it was all 4 of us. I don't know what keeping LaWanda and I out of it mattered. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it mattered. But you got it right, because seriously, when I was reading it in the book, I had the worst chills. It was so vivid. I had the worst chills. It was hideous.
We're all in the room. And then Mom says, in this unfeeling way, which was so uncharacteristic of her, and just stood there in this the muumuu type thing that she always wore. And she says, Henry has been molesting the 2 oldest. What was your reaction when you heard that? And what was your reaction when you heard that?
It was torturous.
Mm-hmm.
It was torturous. And then I'm looking at you 2, and I'm going, well, they're the oldest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, I know any minute they're going to get up and they're going to get in Henry's face. So while I'm sitting there in disbelief, I'm still waiting and still hoping. I'm really thinking something's about to, there's somebody's going to get him.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sure.
You know, somebody's going to get him. And it didn't happen. And that was the moment that I said to myself, I can't trust them. They will not protect me.